Have you ever stopped to look in the mirror? Not to check your hair or your outfit, but to ask yourself a deeper question. Am I living wisely? It's a simple question, but one that carries the weight of a lifetime. In today's world, where we're bombarded by likes, trends, and endless noise, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters: our character, our choices, our inner peace. Here at ZENLIGHT 8, we're diving into the timeless wisdom of Stoicism to uncover 7 signs that might be holding you back from a life of purpose and strength. Stick with us until the end, because we're not just here to reflect. We're here to give you practical tools to transform your life. Starting today, let's begin this journey together and discover how to live not just loudly, but wisely. Imagine this. You're scrolling through Instagram, and there she is, a woman who seems to have it all. Her makeup is flawless, her wardrobe is straight, out of a magazine, and her confidence radiates through every perfectly filtered photo. She's got thousands of likes, comments praising her style, and a feed that screams success. But as you linger on her profile, something feels off. Beneath the polished surface, there's a hollowness, a quiet void that no amount of likes can fill. Her energy is poured into how she looks, not who she is. This, my friends, is the first sign of foolishness according to Stoic wisdom. Not because beauty itself is wrong, but because chasing it at the expense of your character is a path to emptiness. The Stoics, those ancient philosophers who mastered the art of living well, believed that true beauty isn't skin deep. It's not about the mirror you hold in your hand, but the one you hold up to your soul. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who faced wars and betrayals yet still found peace, wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Your thoughts, your choices, your integrity, these are what shape the person you become. They're the colors that paint your life's masterpiece, not the fleeting glow of youth or the shine of a new outfit. Think about it. A decade from now, will anyone remember the dress you wore to that party? Or will they remember the kindness you showed, the courage you displayed, the way you lifted someone up when they were falling? The foolish woman chases what fades. The wise woman builds what lasts. Let's bring this closer to home. Picture Sarah, a 28-year-old marketing assistant in Chicago. She spends hours each week curating her social media, agonizing over every angle of her selfies, chasing that perfect aesthetic. She's not vain. She's just caught in a world that tells her beauty equals worth. But late at night, when the likes stop rolling in, Sarah feels a quiet ache. She wonders why she still feels unseen, why her confidence crumbles when the compliments dry up. The Stoics would look at Sarah with compassion, not judgment, and ask, "Are you nurturing your mind as much as your image? Are you cultivating virtues like patience, honesty, or resilience? Because those are the things that anchor you when life's storms hit. And trust me, they will." This isn't about shaming anyone for caring about their appearance. Taking pride in how you present yourself can be a form of self-respect. A sharp outfit can boost your confidence. A healthy routine can reflect discipline. But when your worth hinges on external validation, when you measure your value by mirror reflections or social media metrics, you're building your house on sand. One bad hair day, one critical comment, one wrinkle, and the whole foundation shakes. The Stoics remind us that what's external is fleeting. Youth fades, trends change, attention shifts, but character, that's the rock you build on. It's the quiet strength that carries you through life's inevitable ups and downs. So, how do you shift from surface to substance? Start small, but start intentionally. Take a moment each day to ask yourself, what did I do today that aligned with who I want to be? Maybe it's choosing to listen to a friend instead of scrolling for likes. Maybe it's tackling a tough task at work with grit instead of worrying about how you'll be perceived. These small acts of virtue, kindness, courage, humility, are the threads that weave a life of meaning. The Stoics practiced a technique called negative visualization, where they imagined losing what they valued most. Try it. Picture yourself without the beauty, the attention, the wardrobe. What's left? Your character, your choices, your inner fire. That's what you nurture. In our fast-paced, image-obsessed world, this can feel like swimming against the tide. Social media bombards us with messages that equate beauty with success, youth with value, but you have the power to rewrite that script. Think of someone like Maya Angelou, whose words and wisdom touched millions not because of her appearance, but because of the depth of her soul. She once said, "People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." That's the legacy of character. How you make others feel, how you show up in the world, how you live when no one's watching. Here's a practical step to bring this into your life today. Start a character journal. Each night, write down one moment where you chose substance over surface. Maybe you spoke up for what was right, even when it was hard. Maybe you let go of comparing yourself to someone else's highlight reel. Over time, these entries become a map of who you're becoming. A woman whose worth isn't tied to a mirror, but to the impact she leaves behind. And when you feel the pull to chase appearance, pause, breathe. Ask yourself, if I stripped away the external, would I be proud of who I am? That's the question that cuts through the noise and brings you back to truth. The Stoics would tell you that wisdom isn't about perfection, it's about progress. It's about choosing to invest in what endures. So as you move through your day, notice where you're placing your energy. Are you polishing the shield or strengthening the warrior behind it? The choice is yours, and it's one of the most powerful you'll ever make. Now let's move to the second sign, ignoring self-responsibility. Because if chasing appearance is a trap, refusing to own your life is a prison. Let's explore how taking responsibility unlocks your freedom. There's a quiet truth at the heart of Stoic philosophy, one that's both liberating and uncomfortable. Your life is your responsibility. No exceptions, no excuses, no one else to blame. It's a truth that cuts through the noise of our modern world, where it's so easy to point fingers at your boss, your parents, your circumstances, or even fate itself. But here's the hard reality. The moment you hand over the reins of your life to someone or something else, you're no longer free. You become a passenger in your own story, waiting for the world to change, for luck to arrive, for someone to save you. The Stoics would look at that mindset and call it foolishness, not because it's weak, but because it's a refusal to claim the power that's already yours. Let's paint a picture. Meet Emily, a 32-year-old graphic designer in Seattle. She's stuck in a job she hates, with a boss who micromanages and a paycheck that barely covers her rent. Every day, she vents to her friends about how unfair it all is. "If only my boss wasn't so controlling," she says. "Or if the company paid me what I'm worth, I'd be happy." Sound familiar? Maybe you've been there, caught in a cycle of blame, feeling like your happiness hinges on someone else fixing your problems. But here's what Emily doesn't see. By blaming her boss, her company, or the economy, she's giving away her power. She's waiting for a rescue that's never coming. The Stoics, like Epictetus, would gently but firmly remind her, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This isn't about denying that life can be tough. The Stoics knew better than most that the world is unpredictable, often unfair. They faced wars, exile, and loss, yet they found peace not by controlling their circumstances, but by controlling their response. That's where your freedom lies, in the space between what happens to you and how you choose to act. The foolish woman sees herself as a victim of life's whims, trapped by forces beyond her control. The wise woman sees the same challenges and asks, what can I do with this? How can I grow from it? That shift, though subtle, changes everything. Think about a time when you felt stuck, maybe in a toxic relationship, a dead-end job, or a spiral of self-doubt. It's tempting to say, if only they had treated me better, or if only I had more opportunities. But blaming others is like locking yourself in a cage and throwing away the key. Responsibility isn't about pretending life is fair. It's about refusing to let unfairness define you. It's about looking at your situation, however messy or painful, and saying, this is my life, and I'm going to shape it. That's not just courage, it's power. Let's dig deeper. Responsibility doesn't mean you caused every problem in your life. You didn't choose your upbringing, your hardships, or the people who let you down, but you do choose what you do with them. Take Emily again. Instead of complaining, what if she started small, learning a new design skill in her free time, networking with other creatives, or even adjusting her mindset to find purpose in her current role? These are small acts of ownership, but they're the seeds of transformation. The Stoics practiced a daily reflection called amor fati, love of fate. They didn't just accept their circumstances, they embraced them as opportunities to practice virtue. Lost your job? A chance to build resilience. Facing betrayal? A chance to practice forgiveness. Every obstacle, they believed, is a teacher in disguise. In today's world, this mindset is more vital than ever. We live in a culture that loves quick fixes. Blame the algorithm, the economy, the toxic people around you. But the Stoics would challenge us to stop outsourcing our happiness. Imagine you're stuck in traffic, late for a meeting. You could curse the cars around you, or you could take a deep breath and ask, how can I use this moment? Can I practice patience? Can I listen to a podcast and learn something new? That's ownership. It's not about fixing the traffic. It's about refusing to let it ruin your peace. Here's a practical way to start. Try the 3-circle exercise inspired by Stoic principles. Draw 3 circles. In the first, write what you can fully control, your thoughts, actions, and attitude. In the second, write what you can influence, like your work or relationships. In the third, write what's beyond your control, other people's opinions, the weather, the past. Focus your energy on the first circle. Every day, pick one small action within your control. Maybe it's speaking up in a meeting, apologizing for a mistake, or choosing gratitude over resentment. Write it down, reflect on it, and watch how these choices stack up over time. This isn't easy. Taking responsibility means facing uncomfortable truths. Maybe you've been holding on to grudges that keep you stuck. Maybe your habits, procrastination, avoidance, self-criticism, are playing a bigger role than you want to admit. But here's the beauty. The moment you own your part, you reclaim your power. You stop being a victim of circumstance and become the author of your story. And that's what the Stoics meant by freedom, not a life without problems, but a life where you choose how to meet them. As we move forward, let's explore the third sign, overvaluing others' opinions. Because if ignoring responsibility traps you, chasing approval scatters you. Let's see how to find your center in a world obsessed with likes. In a world where every post, every outfit, every choice feels like it's up for public review, it's easy to fall into a trap, living for the applause of others. Picture this. You share a photo online, and within seconds you're refreshing the page, counting the likes, scanning the comments. Or maybe you're at work, hesitating to share an idea because you're worried about what your colleagues will think. Will they respect you? Will they judge you? This is the third sign of foolishness the Stoics warned against, overvaluing others' opinions. It's not just a bad habit, it's a surrender of your inner compass, a choice to let the crowd dictate your worth. And in a culture that measures success by followers and validation, it's a trap that's harder to escape than ever. The Stoics, like Seneca, believed that true freedom comes from within, not from the cheers or jeers of the crowd. Seneca once wrote, "Why should I listen to the opinions of others when I can listen to the voice of my own reason?" That's not arrogance, it's clarity. When you tie your worth to what others think, you're building your life on a foundation of sand. People's opinions are fickle, shaped by their moods, their biases, their own insecurities. One day they praise you, the next they criticize you. If you let those voices steer your ship, you'll spend your life lost at sea, drifting wherever the wind of approval blows. Let's make this real. Meet Alex, a 25-year-old teacher in Austin. She's passionate about her work, but she's constantly second-guessing herself. Before posting a lesson plan idea online, she spends hours tweaking it, wondering if her peers will think it's creative enough. At school, she avoids speaking up in meetings because she's afraid of sounding dumb. On the surface, Alex looks confident, but inside she's exhausted, chasing a version of herself that fits everyone else's expectations. The Stoics would see Alex's struggle and ask, "Why are you giving others the power to define you? Why are you letting their fleeting judgments drown out your own voice?" This isn't about ignoring feedback altogether. The Stoics valued wisdom, and sometimes wisdom comes from others' perspectives. But there's a difference between listening with an open mind and being enslaved by validation. When you filter every decision through the question, "What will they think?" you stop asking the questions that matter. Is this true to who I am? Does this align with my values? Living for approval is like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it. You keep pouring in effort, but you're never full. And here's the hard truth. You'll never please everyone. Someone will always misunderstand you, envy you, or simply not care. That's not your failure, it's just life. In today's hyper-connected world, this trap is everywhere. Social media amplifies it with algorithms designed to keep you chasing likes and views. But even offline, the pressure to conform is real. Whether it's dressing a certain way to fit in, staying silent to avoid conflict, or chasing a career because it looks successful to others. The Stoics would challenge us to break free by anchoring ourselves in what we can control: our integrity, our purpose, our truth. They practiced a kind of mental discipline called the dichotomy of control, focusing only on what's within your power and letting go of the rest. You can't control what others think of you, but you can control whether you act with courage, honesty, and kindness. Here's how to start reclaiming your center. Next time you feel the urge to seek approval, pause and ask, "If no one saw this choice, would I still make it?" If the answer is yes, you're on the right path. If not, it's time to realign. Try a practical exercise. For 1 week, track how often you change your behavior to please others. Maybe you say yes to a commitment you don't want, or you stay quiet when you have something valuable to say. Write it down, and at the end of the week, reflect. What would my life look like if I trusted my own judgment? This isn't about becoming selfish. It's about becoming steady, rooted in your own values. Let's draw inspiration from someone like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who faced criticism and doubt throughout her career but never let others' opinions dim her purpose. She didn't chase applause. She chased justice, quietly and relentlessly. That's the kind of strength the Stoics admired. Not loud, not flashy, but unshakable. You don't need to be a Supreme Court justice to live this way. It starts with small acts. Speaking your truth in a meeting, posting something authentic even if it's not perfect, or choosing a path that feels right to you, even if it's not what others expect. The beauty of this shift is that it's freeing. When you stop living for others' approval, you make space for your own voice. You become a lighthouse, not a leaf in the wind. And here's a secret. The people who matter, the ones who truly see you, will respect you more for your authenticity, not less. So today, take one step toward trusting yourself. Maybe it's saying no to something that doesn't serve you. Maybe it's sharing an idea without worrying about the response. Whatever it is, let it be yours, not the crowd's. As we move forward, let's explore the fourth sign: emotional instability and overreaction. Because if chasing approval scatters you, letting your emotions run wild can shatter you. Let's see how to find calm in the storm. Life has a way of pushing our buttons. A rude comment from a coworker, a canceled plan, a text that's just a little too sharp, and suddenly your whole day feels like it's spiraling. Your heart races, your words sharpen, and before you know it, you've snapped back or stormed off, only to regret it later. This is the fourth sign of foolishness the Stoics warned about: emotional instability. It's not about feeling emotions. We're human, not robots. It's about letting those emotions hijack your choices, turning small sparks into wildfires that burn through your peace and your relationships. In a world that often celebrates loud reactions and dramatic outbursts, the Stoics offer a radical alternative: the strength to stay steady, no matter what life throws at you. The Stoics didn't believe in suppressing emotions. They knew that anger, sadness, and fear are part of being human, but they also knew that wisdom lies in how you respond to those feelings. Epictetus put it bluntly: it's not things that upset us, but our judgments about them. That rude coworker? They didn't ruin your day. You did, by letting their words take root in your mind. That canceled plan? It's just a moment, not a catastrophe, unless you make it one. The foolish woman reacts on impulse, letting her emotions drive her words and actions. The wise woman pauses, breathes, and chooses her response with intention. That pause is where her power lies. Let's ground this in a story. Meet Rachel, a 30-year-old nurse in Denver. She loves her job, but the stress is relentless. Long shifts demanding patience and a supervisor who rarely acknowledges her work. One day, a patient snaps at her for a small delay, and Rachel feels a wave of anger. She wants to snap back, to defend herself, to let out the frustration she's been bottling up. Instead, she takes a deep breath, steps away for a moment, and reminds herself, "This isn't about me. I can't control their words, but I can control mine." That choice doesn't erase her anger, but it keeps it from defining her. Later, she reflects and realizes that her calm response didn't just save the moment, it strengthened her. This is the Stoic ideal, not a life without emotions, but a life where emotions don't rule you. In today's world, emotional instability is almost glorified. Social media rewards the loudest rants, the most dramatic stories. But think about the cost. How many friendships have you seen fray because of a single overreaction? How many opportunities have you lost because anger or frustration took the wheel? The Stoics would remind us that every time you let your emotions run wild, you're not just reacting. You're surrendering. You're giving away your peace, your clarity, and sometimes even your reputation. Here's a truth that hits hard. No one can take your peace unless you let them. That driver who cut you off on the freeway? They're gone in seconds, but your anger can linger for hours if you let it. That critical comment online? It's just pixels on a screen, but it can haunt you for days if you give it power. The Stoics practiced a technique called premeditatio malorum, mentally preparing for challenges. They'd imagine worst-case scenarios not to stress themselves out, but to train their minds to stay calm when those moments arrived. Try it. Before a big meeting or a tough conversation, picture it going wrong. Imagine the criticism, the frustration, the chaos. Then ask, how will I respond with dignity? How will I stay grounded? In our fast-paced lives, this kind of emotional strength is a game changer. Whether you're navigating a high-pressure job, a tense family dynamic, or just the daily grind, the ability to pause and choose your response is like a superpower. Here's a practical tool to build it, the 10-second rule. When you feel a strong emotion, anger, anxiety, jealousy, count to 10 before you act. Use those seconds to breathe, to ask, is this worth my peace? Is this reaction serving me? More often than not, you'll find the answer is no. And in that moment of clarity, you'll choose differently. Let's take inspiration from someone like Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison yet emerged with a heart full of forgiveness, not bitterness. His ability to master his emotions didn't make him weak, it made him unbreakable. You don't need to face such extreme trials to live this way. It starts with small moments, not snapping at your partner when you're stressed, not letting a bad day at work define your evening, not taking every slight personally. These choices build a kind of strength that radiates. People notice it. They trust you, lean on you, respect you, not because you're loud, but because you're steady. Here's a challenge for you. For the next week, keep a calm log. Every time you face a trigger, write down what happened, how you felt, and how you chose to respond. Maybe you didn't snap at your kids after a long day. Maybe you let go of a grudge instead of holding on to it. Over time, you'll see a pattern, a map of your growing emotional wisdom. And when you stumble, because you will, don't beat yourself up. The Stoics weren't about perfection, they were about progress. Each time you choose calm over chaos, you're building a stronger, wiser version of yourself. As we move to the fifth sign, materialism and greed, let's explore how chasing stuff can steal your peace just as much as unchecked emotions. Let's see how to find true wealth in a world that's always selling you more. In a world that measures success by what you own, it's easy to believe that happiness is just one purchase away. A new car, a designer bag, a bigger house. Each one promises to make you feel complete, successful, seen. But here's the cruel irony. The more you chase these things, the emptier you feel. This is the fifth sign of foolishness the Stoics warned against: materialism and greed. It's not about having things. It's about letting those things define you. In a culture obsessed with more, the Stoics offer a radical truth. True wealth isn't in what you accumulate, but in what you can live without. Picture Lisa, a 35-year-old tech manager in San Francisco. Her apartment is filled with the latest gadgets. Her closet brims with high-end clothes, and her social media showcases a life that looks enviable. But at night, when the lights are off and the notifications stop, Lisa feels restless. She's always chasing the next promotion, the next purchase, the next status symbol, yet satisfaction never arrives. The Stoics would look at Lisa and ask, "Why are you running a race with no finish line?" Seneca wrote, "You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire." Greed, they believed, is a hunger that grows with every bite. This isn't about demonizing nice things. The Stoics weren't ascetics. They didn't demand you live in a cave. They enjoyed life's comforts, but refused to let them rule their hearts. The problem with materialism is that it tricks you into believing happiness is external. You tell yourself, if I just had that new phone, I'd feel good. But the moment you get it, the goalpost moves. A newer model comes out, a better job, a shinier car. It's a treadmill, and the only way off is to redefine what wealth means. Let's make this practical. In today's world, materialism isn't always about luxury goods. It can hide in subtler forms: the need for a fancier job title, a bigger, following a perfect lifestyle. Think about Black Friday sales, where people camp out for hours to buy things they don't need, driven by the fear of missing out. Or consider the pressure to keep up with friends who post their vacations, their homes, their wins. The Stoics would challenge us to ask, am I chasing this because it adds meaning to my life, or because I'm afraid of feeling less than? The Stoics practiced intentional simplicity to break this cycle. They'd go without comforts, not to suffer, but to remind themselves they were stronger than their cravings. Try it. For 1 week, skip that daily coffee run or avoid buying anything non-essential. Notice how it feels. You might be surprised to find that the less you need, the freer you feel. This isn't about deprivation. It's about discovering that your happiness doesn't depend on a credit card. True wealth, the Stoics taught, is contentment. Finding joy in what you already have, whether it's a warm meal, a good conversation, or a quiet moment to breathe. Here's a story to inspire you. Think of someone like Keanu Reeves, who despite his fame and wealth lives with remarkable simplicity. He rides the subway, gives generously, and speaks openly about finding meaning beyond material success. His life echoes the Stoic principle of focusing on what endures: kindness, humility, connection. You don't need to be a celebrity to live this way. Start with a gratitude practice. Each morning, write down 3 things you're thankful for that money can't buy. Maybe it's the laughter of a friend, the warmth of the sun, or the strength you showed in a tough moment. Over time, this shifts your focus from what you lack to what you have. In our consumer-driven world, this mindset is revolutionary. Advertisements tell you you're not enough unless you buy more. Social media shows you lives that seem perfect but are often hollow. The Stoics would urge you to step back and ask, what's my enough? What do I truly value? Here's a practical challenge. Create a no-buy list. Write down things you're tempted to chase, whether it's a new gadget, a fancier job, or more followers, and commit to letting them go for a month. Use that energy to invest in what lasts, learning a new skill, deepening a relationship, or simply savoring the present moment. The beauty of this shift is that it lightens your load. When you stop measuring your worth by what you own, you make space for what matters: your purpose, your peace, your legacy. The Stoics believed that the richest life is one of meaning, not accumulation. So today, take one step toward that kind of wealth. Maybe it's saying no to an impulse purchase. Maybe it's appreciating what's already in front of you. Whatever it is, let it be a choice that aligns with your soul, not your shopping cart. As we move to the 6th sign, avoiding self-reflection and growth, Let's explore why looking inward is the key to unlocking your potential and how avoiding it keeps you stuck. There's a quiet danger that the Stoics considered one of the greatest obstacles to wisdom: avoiding self-reflection. It's the sixth sign of foolishness, and it's sneaky because it doesn't always look like a flaw. It hides in busyness, in distraction, in the endless scroll of screens and schedules. It's the voice that says, "I don't have time to think about my life. I'm too busy living it." But here's the truth. A life without reflection is a life on autopilot. You might be moving, but you're not growing. You might be busy, but you're not becoming. The Stoics believed that wisdom begins when you dare to look inward, to ask the hard questions. Am I living well? Am I becoming the person I want to be? Imagine Michael, a 40-year-old accountant in New York. He's successful by all outward measures: steady job, nice apartment, a packed calendar. But Michael feels stuck, like he's running in place. He avoids quiet moments because they bring uncomfortable thoughts. Why am I always so short-tempered? Why do the same problems keep showing up in my relationships? Instead of facing these questions, he drowns them out with Netflix, work, or another round of drinks with friends. The Stoics would look at Michael and say, "You're not running from your problems, you're running from yourself." And that's the most dangerous kind of running, because there's no finish line. The Stoics made self-reflection a daily practice. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations not for fame, but as a private dialogue with himself, a way to realign his actions with his values. He'd ask, "Did I act with justice today? Did I let fear or anger steer me?" This wasn't about self-criticism, it was about self-awareness. Without reflection, you're like a ship without a compass, drifting through life's waves, repeating the same mistakes because you never stop to learn from them. The foolish person avoids this work because it's uncomfortable. The wise person embraces it because it's the path to freedom. In our modern world, self-reflection is harder than ever. We're bombarded with distractions, phones, notifications, endless to-do lists. It's easier to scroll through someone else's life than to sit with your own. But here's why this matters. Every unexamined moment is a missed opportunity to grow. Think about a time you snapped at someone you love or made a choice you later regretted. What if you'd pause to ask, why did I react that way? What's driving me? That simple act of looking inward can shift everything. It's not about guilt, it's about clarity. It's about seeing your flaws not as failures, but as signposts pointing toward growth. Let's make this practical. Start with a daily reflection, just 5 minutes at the end of your day. Ask, what did I do well today? Where did I fall short? What can I do differently tomorrow? Write it down, not to judge yourself, but to know yourself. The Stoics called this the evening review, a moment to take stock of your soul. Maybe you realize you were impatient with a coworker. Okay, that's not a verdict, it's a lesson. Tomorrow, you can choose patience. Or maybe you notice you've been avoiding a tough decision. Great, now you can face it with courage. Reflection turns mistakes into stepping stones. Here's another way to deepen this practice. Seek feedback, but not the kind that flatters you. Ask someone you trust, a friend, a mentor, what they see in you that you might be missing. The Stoics valued honest feedback because it's a mirror for your blind spots. It's not always comfortable, but it's always clarifying. I remember a friend once telling me I was too quick to interrupt in conversations. At first I bristled, but then I reflected. She was right. That feedback helped me become a better listener, a better friend. That's the power of reflection. It doesn't just change you, it changes how you show up for others. In today's world, this practice is a rebellion against distraction. We're taught to keep moving, keep achieving, keep posting. But growth doesn't happen in motion. It happens in stillness. Think of someone like Oprah Winfrey, who credits her success to constant self-reflection. She said that taking time to journal, to ask herself what she's learned and how she can grow, has been her greatest tool. You don't need to be Oprah to do this. Start small. Maybe it's a quiet walk where you let your thoughts wander, or a moment of silence before bed. The key is to show up for yourself, to listen to the quiet voice inside that knows who you're meant to be. Here's a challenge. For the next 7 days, commit to 1 moment of reflection each day. It could be writing in a journal, meditating, or simply sitting with your thoughts. Ask, what's one thing I learned about myself today? Share your insights with someone you trust or keep them private. Either way, you're building a habit of growth. And when it feels hard, because it will, remember the Stoic principle of memento mori. You are mortal, your time is finite. Don't waste it running from yourself. Use it to become yourself. As we move to the final sign, talking more than listening, let's explore why silence can be your greatest teacher and how listening deeply can transform your life. In a world that rewards the loudest voices, silence feels like a weakness. We're taught to speak up, to stand out, to make sure we're heard. But the Stoics saw things differently. They believed that true wisdom begins not with what you say, but with what you hear. The 7th sign of foolishness is talking more than listening, a habit that's easy to fall into and hard to break. It's not just about dominating conversations. It's about missing the chance to learn, to connect, to grow. In a culture that celebrates self-expression, the Stoics remind us that the greatest strength lies in the quiet act of listening. Picture this. You're at a coffee shop with a friend, and she's sharing a struggle she's facing. But before she finishes, you jump in with advice, a story of your own, or a quick fix. You mean well. You want to help, to relate, to be seen as wise. But in that moment, you've stopped listening. You've made the conversation about you, not her. The Stoics would call this a missed opportunity. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." It's a simple truth, but a profound one. When you talk more than you listen, you're not just cutting others off. You're cutting yourself off from understanding, from growth, from connection. Let's ground this in a story. Meet David, a 29-year-old startup founder in Los Angeles. He's charismatic, quick-witted, and always ready with a story or an opinion. In meetings, he dominates the conversation, eager to prove his ideas are the best. At home, he's quick to offer solutions when his partner shares her worries. But over time, David notices a pattern. His team seems disengaged, his partner feels unheard, and he's stuck recycling the same ideas. The Stoics would look at David and ask, "Are you listening to learn or talking to be seen?" Because true wisdom comes not from filling the silence, but from embracing it. In our modern world, this habit is everywhere. Social media rewards the loudest voices, the snappiest comebacks, the most viral rants. But think about what's lost when you prioritize talking over listening. You miss the nuances of someone's story, the wisdom in their perspective, the truth in their silence. And it's not just about others, it's about you. When you're always talking, you're trapped in your own echo chamber, reinforcing your own assumptions without ever being challenged. The Stoics believed that listening is an act of humility, a way to quiet the ego and make space for something greater. It's how you learn, how you grow, how you connect. Here's a deeper truth. Listening isn't just about hearing words, it's about hearing life. It's noticing the quiet signals your body sends when you're stressed. It's catching the unspoken needs in a loved one's eyes. It's tuning into your own intuition, the voice that whispers what you're truly meant to do. The foolish person fills every gap with noise, afraid of what silence might reveal. The wise person embraces silence, knowing it's where truth speaks loudest. Let's make this practical. Try the silent presence exercise. In your next conversation, focus on listening without planning your response. Let the other person's words land fully before you speak. Notice their tone, their pauses, their emotions. You might be surprised at what you hear when you're not rushing to reply. Another practice is to listen to yourself. Set aside 5 minutes a day to sit in silence. No phone, no distractions. Ask, what's my heart telling me? What's my fear hiding? The Stoics called this inner listening, a way to align your actions with your deeper purpose. In today's world, this kind of listening is a radical act. We're surrounded by noise, podcasts, notifications, endless chatter. But the people who stand out aren't always the loudest. they're the ones who make others feel heard. Think of someone like Fred Rogers, whose quiet presence on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood touched millions. He didn't need to shout. His listening was his power. You can embody that same strength. Maybe it's giving a coworker your full attention in a meeting. Maybe it's letting your child finish their story without interrupting. These small acts of listening build trust, deepen bonds, and make you a beacon of wisdom in a noisy world. Here's a challenge. For the next 3 days, practice active listening in every interaction. Don't interrupt. Don't advise unless asked. Just hear. At the end of each day, write down one thing you learned by listening, about someone else, about yourself, about life. You'll be amazed at how much wisdom unfolds when you make space for it. And when you feel the urge to talk, pause, ask, is this coming from a need to be heard or a desire to add value? More often than not, silence will be your greatest gift. We've journeyed through 7 signs of foolishness, each one a mirror held up to our lives, not to shame us, but to awaken us. From chasing appearance to avoiding reflection, from emotional outbursts to talking over others, these signs aren't verdicts, they're invitations. They're chances to pause, to realign, to choose wisdom over distraction. The Stoics taught us that a meaningful life isn't about being perfect. It's about being present, intentional, and brave enough to grow. Each small choice you make, pausing before reacting, listening instead of speaking, valuing your character over your image, is a step toward a life that's not just loud, but lasting. In today's world, these lessons are more urgent than ever. We're pulled in 1,000 directions by notifications, expectations, and endless noise. But you have the power to cut through it. Start today with one small act of wisdom. Maybe it's writing in your character journal, practicing the 10-second rule, or simply sitting in silence for 5 minutes. Whatever it is, let it be yours, a choice that reflects the person you're becoming. The Stoics believed that the only true failure is refusing to try. So try. Take one step, then another, and watch how your life transforms. Here at ZENLIGHT 8, we're all about walking this path together. If this video resonated with you, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to join our community of growth seekers. In the comments, share your reflection. Which of these 7 signs spoke to you most, and what's one step you're taking to live more wisely? Type "my reflection" and let us know. We read every comment, and your story might inspire someone else. Let's keep this conversation going, because the journey to wisdom is one we take together. Stay tuned for more insights, and until next time, keep choosing the path that leads to your best self. The Stoic principles we've explored aren't just ancient philosophy. They're practical tools for navigating today's chaotic world. In 2025, where social media, work pressure, and constant connectivity can overwhelm us, Stoicism offers a lifeline. Start by focusing on what you can control: your thoughts, your actions, your attitude. When you're tempted to compare yourself to others online, pause and ask, am I living true to my values? When stress hits, use the 10-second rule to choose calm over chaos. And every day, carve out a moment to reflect, whether through journaling, meditation, or a quiet walk. These small habits build a life of resilience and meaning. In a world that's always selling you more, choose enough. That's where true freedom lies.